Today on an all-new Dr. Phil. Women say when they hit a certain number, they feel invisible. You notice something around 45.
It's literally like a cloak of invisibility that comes over you when you're a middle-aged woman.
You say the pandemic forced you into embracing your gray hair.
Yes. And how beautiful are you?
You compliment her for being beautiful, but then you say, well, it shouldn't be about beauty. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today is going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
Get ready to take care of you. Well, have you heard the saying that men age like fine wine, but women age like a glass of milk? Well, I'd like to know who came up with that, because it is not right. Now, I know men have it easier when it comes to aging. I mean, look at me. I've been bald since I was like 12. And that's okay, apparently. But despite the fact that celebrities like Jane Fonda and Jamie Lee Curtis are opening our eyes as to what it means to be a silver fox, there is still a huge double standard. Women say when they hit a certain number, they feel invisible, washed up, unwanted. Now, supermodel, 57-year-old Paulina Poroskova is famously candid on her social media for shutting down those who think her face needs fixing or that she should not be posing in a bikini at her age. Really? Take a look.
When I was 15, I started modeling, and it was a very hard thing to walk away from. Then around the age of 45, I started noticing that the way I was perceived was slightly different than what I had become used to. And then I would put photos of myself in bikinis. All of a sudden, I started getting the influx of, "Are you a little desperate there, Grandma? How about you cover up and spare us the look of your poor aging body?" I was sort of getting relinquished to the invisible women category. People will literally just walk into you, and you think, hold on a second. I am actually a far more interesting person than I've ever been. And this is where you don't want to see me anymore, because I've aged out of being physically appealing to you. I understand what it takes to make my skin wrinkle-free, and I don't think it's worth it. Being able to express how I feel, to me, is one of the most wonderful things about my face. I'm like, isn't that why it was made? I'm trying to go, how about this? How about this unaltered, even beautiful? How about that?
Well, welcome.
Well, thank you. So pleased to be here.
So,
Thanks.
look, this is a big deal for a lot of women, and there are women who would love to look like you at any age, and you say that you noticed something around 45.
Mm-hmm. What I got was sort of a very slow understanding that I was becoming invisible. I'm not just talking like, I stopped getting the attention of men, but like literally, walking to a bar, the bartender doesn't notice you, going into a shoe shop and like nobody's noticing. It's literally like a cloak of invisibility that comes over you when you're a roughly middle-aged woman who looks middle-aged.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, you have a new book, No Filter, The Good, the Bad, and the Beautiful. And why did you write it?
Well, actually, so the reason I wrote it, it's not completely philanthropical. Maria Shriver followed me on Instagram, and she called me one day and she said, I really love what you're doing on Instagram, so would you consider writing a book for me like you write Instagram? And so, dealing with topics that middle-aged women deal with. I mean, in my case, it was divorce and then the death of my husband. you know, grief, and then also aging and invisibility and sort of all of the stuff that comes when you find yourself in your middle age and sometimes single, and your children have left the nest, and it's like a second coming of age. It's like you're supposed to start something else, and just at the same time as the rest of society saying, Grandma, back off, into your corner, go and knit.
Now, when you were on social media, a plastic surgeon called you out, actually, and said there were some things you needed to fix.
Well, they posted a picture of me that I posted on Instagram that I thought I looked really good in. And underneath it, they pointed out everything that I should have done in order to look good. And I find that offensive. I find that truly offensive, because I look around me and I look at women my age, and I look at all of you and I think, but wait, what I have gained with age, fine, I've lost that bouncy smoothness that comes with age, but my face now has character. And that to me is so much more beautiful.
Do you feel that there's a shift when you start getting to a certain age? I mean, do you feel that? If you do, raise your hand. Okay, yeah. So a lot of people feel it that way.
You put a blanket down on the beach and people will just like walk over it like you're not there. I mean, you know, so I'm not. It's
is it that
kind
bad,
of
really?
Yeah. This is the best age to do like a bank robbery for sure.
Yeah. You just walk in, get the money,
hey,
and walk
ladies, want to rob a bank with me after this?
Yeah.
Just take our makeup off and dress normal. We can get away with it for sure.
Robin, what do you think? How do you feel about this?
Well, I actually embrace aging. I really do. I love the challenge. I've always loved the challenge, I guess, of getting older. And I feel with me, it's a frame of mind. I've embraced every decade, my 30s, my 40s. I was busy with raising my family, but I always knew I was going to embrace the challenge of doing what it took to be my healthiest and also look my very best. I love that challenge, and I'm always going to do that. So I enjoy taking on, doing what it takes to feel my best, but also look my best. And I'm not going to be embarrassed or ashamed of that. So I'm in my 60s. I'll be, in a matter of just maybe 2 weeks, I'm turning 69 years old. I've never
a beautiful
had,
69.
Thank
Yay.
you. Thank you. I've never had a problem with age, with the number. I wear what I want to wear. I've always done my own hair and makeup because I love hair and makeup. So I love the challenge of looking my best, and I'm not ashamed of that.
Well, she wrote a book called What's Age Got to Do with It? And she was sitting on 55, a big 55 on the cover, and people in Hollywood were like, oh my God, I can't believe she said her age.
Oh yeah. Every time I say, I mean, I'm like completely forced. I'm like, I'm 57, and you know what? I am freaking lucky to be 57.
Exactly.
There are
Yeah.
people that don't get to be 57. I am fortunate to be 57, and I'm proud of having made it this far with everything I've learned. I'm better now than I've ever been, and this is why I'm not okay for us to be dismissed by society.
You're right. I mean, and consider the alternative. That's the way to not age, right?
Best way to not get wrinkles is to die young, right?
Yeah, leave a beautiful
Yeah.
corpse. That's no option. All right, coming up, Paulina reveals how grief consumed her 3 years ago and what she did about it. Plus, we'll meet a 60-year-old woman who says she once looked like Barbie, but feels like an ugly outcast. We'll talk to her next. And again, I want to hear from you guys in the audience as well. We'll be right back.
My name is Tammy. I'm 60 years old. When I was young, people used to call me Barbie. I had a perfect face and a perfect body. Now that I'm 60, my face is sagging and my body is not proportioned properly. When I go out, I feel invisible. People don't talk to me. I feel overlooked, and this really hurts my feelings.
Well, that was 60-year-old Tammy, who says she's so self-conscious of her age, she sometimes, Well, she just doesn't want to leave the house. It's just easier to stay home and not deal with it. But model and author Paulina Porskova says, what's wrong with being 60? I mean, that'd be your question for Tammy, right?
No, it's not what's the problem with being 60. I absolutely understand what the problem of being 60 is. It's not you, it's the people around you that haven't reframed aging, that haven't redone their little goggles to see that there's the beauty of youth and then the beauty of maturity. You're a beautiful woman, and you don't feel it?
I do feel beautiful. I feel beautiful inside. I don't feel beautiful outside. As you were saying, once we reach a certain age, you know, we start 45 or so, we start to feel invisible.
Yeah.
And yeah, it hurts. And I feel like it's almost like a secret hidden epidemic about women that are older that start to feel invisible.
And I don't disagree that that's a problem. And I've seen the surveys. I've talked to women that have said, you thought it was going to be your problem, and your friend said, oh, no. Me too. You're not going to look the same at 40 you do at 20, or at 60
True.
you do at 40. They're going to change.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they're better or worse. They're going to change.
But that's it. It's not that it's better or worse, but it's right now as society, there is a better and a worse. 20 is good, 50 is bad.
After hearing Robin speak about how beautiful she embraced her 30s, 40s, 50s with her family and, you know, her career and everything she does, I didn't have all that. And now that I'm older and my face is starting to sag, and I remember once when I was young, my sister said, if people didn't look at you, you would think something was wrong. Like that was, you know, I got a lot of attention, and I grew up with that. And then when you reach a certain age, as Paulina was saying, you know, stepping over you on the beach and, you know, just a grocery store, you know, you're outgoing and you're just ready to say hi to people and enjoy life, and people are kind of looking around you and, oh, you know, it's hurtful.
You know, age is going to break down our tissues, our skin.
Yeah.
But it doesn't break down integrity. It doesn't break down our passions. It doesn't break down our values. It doesn't break down all
And
the things that define.
we have that on the inside.
In
We do.
fact,
But
it
once we go
heightens
out,
it.
we're reminded.
Yes,
We're
true.
reminded that you're not so it anymore.
That you are not
away.
wanted. You are not desirable.
It's so
to us,
true.
you're not attracted
Yeah.
anymore.
Are you talking about to men?
Yeah, well, just
Men
actually
kinda rule society.
well, the patriarchal society. So yeah, there you go. No offense, but also there is a thing about we women from the time we are born. One of the things that is instilled in us is that being pretty
You're so cute.
is really important.
That's-
That's where we get the pretty privilege. Because if you're pretty, you get the privilege that comes with being
you're
pretty.
so smart.
We don't get that. You don't get what a smart little girl.
Right?
What a
Yeah.
talented little girl. You get.
And
What
if
a
we were raised in
beautiful
that
little girl.
respect and talked to like that along the way, maybe it
How
would
many
have been
times do
different.
you hear "what a beautiful little boy"? It's not quite as often.
No, I don't think I've ever heard that.
See?
No?
So we are conditioned that being pretty, whatever else you are, you can be talented and you can be ambitious and you can be super smart. But if you're pretty, you get a little leg up. You were using the pretty privilege, as was I.
I was using it to be accepted into society.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now that that's fading away, I feel very alone. And I'm not married. You know, I've been divorced for 20 years. So I don't really date. I only date in view to marriage, so I don't date, period. So I don't get that attention and that boosting or whatever that, you know, I have my own confidence, I do. I feel very good about myself. But the look thing, going out.
Now, there was that word you just said. So I feel really good about myself, but means forget what I just said. I'm going to now tell you what I really think.
Yeah.
When we come back, would you believe that women of all ages feel the stress of aging? We're going to meet a 33-year-old woman who says she feels old, she feels irrelevant, over the hill. That's next.
I'm Fifi, and I'm 33 years old, and even saying that out loud is kind of scary. Ever since I've been in my 30s, I've noticed a decline in male attention, so getting hit on, catcalled, whatever. Which, at first, I was kind of bummed about, I'm not gonna lie, just because I used to thrive off of male validation. Let's be real, you guys. We live in an ageist society where the most power and the most social capital a woman will have is between the ages of teenage to 25.
Well, Paulina Poroskova has written a book, No Filter, and she really got real in this book. She got real on social media, got a lot of criticism for being real on social media, both in her pictures and in what she said when she was grieving, going through grief after losing her husband that she'd been married to for a long, long time. You just heard from 33-year-old Fifi, who says that she's consumed by her fear of aging. And Fifi, you think that's already started, it's already hit. You said once you pass 25.
No, actually, I woke up on my 23rd birthday and I had a mental breakdown.
At 23?
At 23 years old, I crawled to my knees and I covered my face, like a movie scene, I was like, I'm so old. Can you imagine how I feel now?
Can you imagine how we feel right now?
I understand.
I think I'm going to have to crawl out from underneath the ground.
Where's my cane?
And you say that you're on social media and a lot of guys are saying stuff to you, right? Well, here are some of them. I've put them up so we can see. You look 110.
Yeah.
She's old and has lip filler. A woman's worth dips past 25.
Yeah.
How are you not embarrassed at your age?
Yeah.
I thought she was in her 40s.
Yeah, I get that a lot, actually, 40s and 50s.
Yeah. And so these are guys commenting?
Yeah, they're mostly unshowered men between the ages of about 13 years old to about deathbed. Yeah.
Yeah.
They always have the most to say, the crustiest ones,
You're letting these people bug you. These guys are saying that. You wake up at 23 and you got your head in your hands crying?
Sure, I partly it is, my inability to kind of put a wall up, but I do think because I grew up in an age with, social media and a certain type of media that I was exposed to, I feel like I've been programmed in a very unhealthy way by society and internalized all of that.
Let me do a quick survey here, and I'm not just trying to puff you up, but in terms of inventory, besides her looks and her beauty, what do you guys notice about her? What jumped out at you when she came up here and started talking?
It's very articulate, very well-spoken, very clear, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Robin?
Sense of humor.
Yeah. You got a great sense of humor. She's smart. Do you take time giving yourself credit for those qualities, those characteristics?
Not as much as I should. I feel like I spend more time, I don't know if anyone else does this, but I'll look at myself in the mirror this close, and then I'll just look at all of my pores. I should probably be doing more self-love internally than doing that.
Well, your internal dialogue, your personal truth really does define how you carry yourself and how you present yourself.
Yeah.
Which really teaches other people how to treat you. The way you treat yourself teaches other people how to treat you. And they say, look, she knows herself better than anybody else. And if she thinks she's less than, who am I to question her?
That's valid. Yeah.
They'll take that lead. Coming up, how does social media play into the way we do see ourselves?
Well,
Plus, we'll meet a woman who says when she looks in the mirror, she screams. All that next.
I am 54 years old. Hello? Yeah, me. Yeah, see, that's some of the problem right there. It's that invisibility factor. I went from somebody that could get service at the store to them calling the people behind me. They really don't see you anymore. You're not old enough for people to say, oh, you're so sweet. And you're not young enough to go, whoa, you are smoking. You don't get any of those. Overnight, you become invisible.
Here's another one that's got a great sense of humor. It's very creative. I was laughing when I watched you take originally. That's 54-year-old Terry, who says between her throat waddle, age spots, wrinkles everywhere, and bifocals, it's impossible to look in the mirror and feel good. Really?
Really? Seriously, I picture myself as I was probably in my 30s, because that was probably my happiest time. Now I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh. I go out, it's a different reaction. Like you both said, social media. I love social media. I love to but I will not be in that. I will do anything, but if you look at some of my Instagram stats, I'm always in the corner of the picture, so you'll see the cute part. Yeah, not kidding. That's how it is. And it's because of this self-love, self-being. You just feel beaten down.
But you say you feel beaten down. Are you beating yourself down or are other people beating you down?
Well, yeah, but myself I do. But also, like I say, it's that invisibility factor. It is truly sitting on the beach and they walk right. People bump into you and they're shocked you're not a pillar or something. They're like, oh, that was a person.
Really?
Yes. It's horrible.
Hello and welcome to our world.
Right, and this has happened for generations, and your parents, your mother never spoke of this. Like the previous, I think it's just coming out now. I believe it's going to be younger and younger with the more social media out there, because women are harder and harder on themselves to get to that level that they feel is acceptable instead of no filter.
But let me tell you, people that are saying those things to Fifi, I guarantee you they're in their grandmother's basement. They haven't seen sunlight in 3 weeks, couldn't get a date if they kidnapped them, and they look like, I guarantee you they look like Fido's ass. And they're criticizing her.
No, I agree. They're the trolls on social media.
Get a life. Who's on the internet criticizing other people?
Oh, a lot.
Really unhappy people.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean,
so you've got to consider the source.
I get a lot of it. I mean, every time I show up in a bikini, I'm like, pathetic grandma, go and hide. And I'm like, why? I look good. Like, what's your problem? Yeah. But it is the social media. It is, I think, because actually I think it's the filter culture. Oh, yeah. Is that we are told that you could look like this. Well, see, I look good in a bikini, right?
Well, no.
Thanks. And I'm told to hide. That I'm too old to be doing this.
90+% of the time says more about them than it does about the person they're talking about. In all situations. And you were on grieving about your husband. This was a difficult time for you. And you said you were just looking for a connection. You were wanting to express yourself. And people were criticizing you about that.
Yeah, I mean, when my husband died 3 years ago, and I was going through the hardest time of my life. And so I reached out just sort of blindly on Instagram and found a wonderful community of people that were also going through losses and grief. But simultaneously, then there were the people that go, oh, pathetic, narcissist, why don't you just, get a better doctor and up your meds?
Anonymously, they'll say it to you, but they wouldn't say it to you.
Right.
And of course, your theory is they wouldn't even see you because you're invisible. But that's not true. They wouldn't say it to you on an elevator, but they'll say it to you on the internet.
But that just feeds into that soul, that whole feeling of self-worth in there, because you're already beating yourself up more than they can, and then they reinforce that, even though you know they're sitting in their basement and they're crusty.
Isn't that also a part of like human nature, Dr. Phil, that we tend to respond more to criticism, that we take that harsher than we take all the positive?
Well, particularly if you believe a kernel of it anyway. Yep. All right, coming up, Terry says she went all Karen on some young men playing ball at the park. She's going to tell us about that next. Fess up. Who'd you gang up on at the park?
So I went to the park and I had a little picnic. I just like to go during the day. It kind of lets me meditate and chill. And I put my little blanket down and kids started, not kids, they were like, I don't know, 20-something, started playing football. And they're running across my blanket and they're like, I'm like, excuse me. And finally, like, the mama peace officer, angry person came out. I'm like, yo, back off. What? Hello? And I did. I said, you're disrespectful. I know you were probably taught better than this in your whole life, and you probably have better manners. Back off.
Yeah, well, that's pretty rude.
It was.
I mean, they're running across your like it.
And my friends had stuff like that happen. I'm sure you've had it. Yeah, it's silly.
I want to introduce something else. Elisa was a fashion stylist who can relate to these women. Take a look.
When I turned 30, I remembered feeling really depressed. I was insecure about my looks. I didn't feel pretty enough. I didn't feel good enough. I just didn't feel enough. I feel much more enough now. People should never feel limited by what they can do or how they can grow or how they can change, and never give their power away to anyone that tells them that they're not enough. And if we all knew that, we would have a completely different world.
Elisa and her daughter Lily are co-founders of Style Like You, a website focused on self-acceptance. And they are also the brains behind the documentary series What's Underneath Project, in which people like Paulina talk about their vulnerabilities while slowly stripping down to their underwear. Elisa, Lily, thank you guys for being here. You've been listening to everything that we're talking about, and you know, I'm talking about the importance of what everybody, particularly these women, are saying to themselves, as opposed to listening to what they're hearing other people say. And I think that's really important. What do you guys say about that?
Yeah, I completely agree with that, but we live in a system and in a society and in a marketing machine that's designed to make us feel less than so that we buy things. Exactly. And so to me, it's a criminal act. And because our lives are so valuable, and it doesn't become less or more valuable with any of these external things, age or gender or race or body size or mental or physical, nothing, none of, it's all, you're not more or less valuable because of any of those things. You are valuable, you're inherently valuable. And your life is meant to be an uncovering of that value, so it improves with time.
And Lily, millennials and Gen Zers are really interested in learning about getting older. Why do you think that's true?
I think we're all pretty afraid of it. I mean, I don't know if we're so, I think, well, on our video platform that we create, my generation, Gen Z and millennials we interview people of all ages who kind of defy beauty standards and norms and like really own who they are from the inside out. And our videos on older women specifically are some of our most popular that we ever create, because I just think that as my mom said, and as we've all been talking about, we're all so conditioned to fear aging and to think that our beauty becomes irrelevant. So then when we see someone who doesn't buy into that and who completely owns who they are, and they actually radiate beauty in a way that we're not really seen in most of media, and that's so shocking for us. And I think that my generation is just like relieved when they see something like that and like that, are presented with another option.
The fact is, there is very little demand for women our age. And so it's hard for us to look up to women our age. No, well, you know what? Women our age have the most amount of money and the most amount of power.
And knowledge.
And then we buy wrinkle creams from 17-year-olds.
We were at an event Saturday night that was kind of emceed by an 87-year-old woman. And she has a great internal dialogue. Her name's Ruta Lee. Y'all may remember, some of you may remember her. She's a Hollywood actress. And she's written a book, Consider Your Ass Kissed. It's kind of her attitude, but she looked great, she sounded great, she had great confidence. She
did.
Actually introduced a doctor from UCLA that was 93, and he walked up and she said, "So, how's it going in the bedroom?" And I thought, what? What is it? And he had a good answer. So I think it's all about attitude and what you say internally. And you say it's criminal that they're being exploited, but at some point, you're not a victim, you're a volunteer. Mm-hmm. You got to say no.
We need to reframe our look at aging and see it for what it is, a change, not a bad change, just a change.
And
Couldn't
also
agree
it's
more.
redefining what beauty is. Like when you say that before, something about, well, you now you're smart, now you can be this. No, it's like you are beautiful. Like, what is beauty? Who is defining that? If everything is being retouched, if everything is being erased off of you in media, then you know it's very hard not to have that internal dialogue to be negative. I mean, it's not. We have to be real about that. There's an accountability.
Yeah.
Carrie Lynn, where are you? You say the pandemic forced you into embracing your gray hair, for example.
Yes. Yeah, I had stopped dyeing it just before, and then the pandemic hit, and I just decided, okay, now I do it.
Yeah.
And how beautiful are you? My God.
You compliment her for being beautiful, but then you say, well, it shouldn't be about beauty. And you say the same thing. You know, we've got to define beauty as being beautiful at 70 or 80 or 90. And I'm just saying that beautiful is not just about visuals. You know, there's beautiful spirit, there's beautiful intellect, there's beautiful deeds, there's beautiful value. And I think we mean the same thing, right? That it's defined multidimensionally. Paulina's book, No Filter, The Good, the Bad, and the Beautiful. Listen, this is a must read. I tell you what, it's informative, but it's also extremely thought-provoking. It is extremely thought-provoking, I have to say. And it's available on Amazon or wherever you buy your books. And by the way, Paulina brought enough for everybody in today's audience, so you're all going home with a copy of her new book. Just ahead, my next guest says bedtime is wartime with her young children. Solutions for them and parents everywhere now. The dreaded bedtime battles. Parents of young ones, you know what I'm talking about. Children finding every excuse in the book to avoid going to sleep. My next guests, Veronica and David, are no strangers to this common parental dilemma. They desperately want help getting their children to sleep so they can get some shut-eye themselves. Take a look.
Give me Stop. David and I have 3 beautiful girls together. Our household is very crazy, very loud, noisy.
Being the only man in the house is a little tough. Living with 3 girls is as crazy as I ever thought it would be.
All right, girls, it's time for bed. People would think that bedtime would be relaxing, but not in our household. Come on. Bedtime is the hardest time for me and David.
And when it's time to get into bed, there's every excuse in the world not to get in bed.
You gotta go to bed. Kalani has tantrums at nighttime, which are the worst. It's time for bed, no TV. She starts kicking, she starts screaming. It is just so tiring. You guys need to calm down, and you guys need to go to bed. I am always looking for something to make my life easier to put my children to bed. I love my girls, but at nighttime, it can become a nightmare. Good night.
Well, joining me are Veronica and David, along with Dr. Angela Holliday Bell, sleep expert and Hello Bello ambassador. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
So, Veronica, how often do these bedtime battles happen in your house?
Every single night.
Really?
Every single night, when I say the word bedtime, our 3-year-old Kalani, she will start screaming, kicking, crying, biting. She will not stop. Our other 2 children pretty much see her acting like that, and then they start interfering as well, and all chaos breaks loose. I'm so tired.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm tired just listening to it. So, David, what's it like when you're on bedtime duty?
Dr. Phil, I'm a police officer, and sometimes I feel like it's easier to deal with the criminals on the street than dealing with my kids at home.
Yeah, yeah, I would think so.
Every excuse in the world when it's time to go to bed is water, need to go to the bathroom. And even though I love it, they try to get extra hugs and kisses, but I know it's an excuse just to get out of bed.
Yeah, yeah, all of a sudden they're in love with you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, Doctor, I'm sure this isn't anything new to you. As a sleep expert, can you help this family with this nighttime drama?
Yes, I can. And you're absolutely right. This is a very common situation, especially when it comes to young children. So the first thing I recommend is getting rid of those electronics before bedtime. The reason for this is that the blue light that's emitted from electronics, like the television or the tablet, can actually interfere with your natural melatonin release, which is a hormone that sets the stage for sleep. The second thing I recommend is utilizing the power of positive reinforcement. And that's when you reward your child for engaging in the desired behavior. For example, you can offer something like a sticker or some other token when they go to bed without whining or don't get out of bed in the middle of the night. And then once they reach a certain amount, they get a larger reward.
You know, our son Jay and his wife Erica have 2 children, Avery and London, and I'm sure they've had their fair share of struggles at bedtime when they were younger. And a few years ago, Jay and celebrity couple Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard founded Hello Bello, a company with premium products at an affordable price. And their flagship items are diapers and wipes, but they also carry a line of products for the whole family. And now they have safe and effective products to help little ones go to sleep and get the rest that they need. And Dr. Holiday Bell, are there Hello Bello products that really might be helpful for these two?
Yes, there are. So another very important sleep tip I recommend is establishing a consistent bedtime routine. I like to recommend the 3 B's when it comes to calming children and getting them prepared for sleep. And that's take a bath, brush your teeth, read a book. Now, in terms of bath time, the Hello Bello soft lavender shampoo and wash, body lotion, and bubble bath come formulated with a soothing lavender scent that's perfect for calming children and even stressed parents. And the best part about it all is that the bath products and the lotions are formulated without the addition of any synthetic fragrances, sulfates, or parabens.
I heard melatonin was pretty good for them to go to sleep, but I don't want to medicate my kids. As a pediatrician, what would you suggest?
You know, that's a very common concern I hear from parents. And generally speaking, melatonin is a safe and effective supplement. But as pediatricians, we typically recommend starting by initiating a consistent, healthy bedtime routine, like the one I mentioned earlier, before introducing something like melatonin. Now, should melatonin be necessary, a supplement like the Hello Bello Kids Sleep Well Gummy Vitamin can be used to help reset your child's sleep-wake cycle. And then once they're in a good regimen or a good schedule, you can wean it and then use it just as needed after that.
Yeah, Kristen Bell actually co-wrote a book called The World Needs More Purple People. And it's a great children's book that you can read at bedtime. And Dr. Bell, I hear you have one last thing you'd like to share.
I do. Veronica and David, we have a surprise for you. Hello Bello is giving you all with a $1,000 Hello Bello gift card.
Thank you.
Oh my God. So you can try out all of their products for yourselves. This is great.
You can finally go to sleep.
Yeah. And by the way, everybody in the audience is going home with a copy of The World Needs More Purple People. So all the Hello Bello products are available online at hellobello.com. And you can also find them at Walmart stores nationwide. Look, I want to thank all of my guests today. Thank you, David and Veronica. Good luck. And thank you, Dr. Angela, for being here. And a special thanks to Hello Bello. For more information about today's episode, or if you'd like to share your story, log on to drphil.com. If you want to add your voice to the conversation, you can do it there. You can do it on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We just continue. The show doesn't stop when we finish here. If you're in the Los Angeles area, we'd love to have you join us on stage. Just go to drphil.com, click on Be Part of the Audience for all the details. We'll see you next time. Be safe. Take care.